Hey, good morning, church. My name is Kaleb Herring, and I'm so glad you're here with us today. And if you're new to joining us on a Sunday morning, my name is Kaleb, and I'm the lead pastor, and I'm very thankful you've tuned in with us. Would you make sure to subscribe, follow, or like us on Facebook or YouTube or even Instagram? I'd love to connect with you. We would love to connect with you because we're a church that loves God and loves all people and makes disciples. And what's special today is, and for the next several weeks, you're going to hear how the church has really put words to action. You see, when the first just started out, in Acts chapter 2, it says that they shared all their possessions. And everybody had what they needed. But even, I got my Bible, even in the scriptures, it doesn't give you many examples. Right there, it just goes on to the next thing, and it can be kind of confusing. But, for the next several weeks, we're going to hear from guest preachers, but also we're going to hear from people who've provided for others, who shared the things they had so that others wouldn't have need, and how the church has shared for them and provided for their need. Because I believe this, I think this is true for everybody, that somewhere in your journey as a human being, someone has shared a need or is shared for your need. And you have shared for someone else. And that has been a critical moment in your life. I'm sure you can remember times in your life you had great need and they were provided for. You can remember how you've provided for others in their great need. And I want to just give God credit this week and the next several weeks of how his creation of the church has done that for his people and has allowed you to be part of that mission too. So I want to introduce to you DJ Vincent, a pastor here in Salem, Oregon, with Church at the Park. And he's going to set up a couple people and their stories as we listen to how even those who we see who have very little can be the hands and feet of Jesus through the context of his church. I hope you enjoy.
Friends and church family, it is always such an honor to get to share good news with you and really just bear witness to what God is doing in our lives as the Vincents and at Church at the Park. I was so encouraged that Kaleb was able to come and get 3 interviews with people whose lives are being really transformed through service at Church at the Park. And the reality is, we're still seeking to, open that kingdom banquet table for those who need it most. And God has asked us to do some really great things during this COVID time. We're now doing a meal 6 days a week in a boxed form. And we serve an average of 165 people. Unique people each week, and we are now doing a safe parking program, and in addition to our site, we coordinate 5 other sites. We are working with the city of Salem on a unique program called Cash for Trash, where folks bring us a bag of trash and we give them a Walmart gift card. And just last Friday, we had 180 people bring a bag of trash from around the park. And so that gives you a picture of the need, but I'm excited that you're going to get to go deep with the stories of Kelly, whose life has been really transformed over the last 2 years, and she has become a leader, and she's still safe parking, but she's coordinating all of our pantry work with Marion Polk Food Share and the food boxes. Dave, who is also parking, and he is her facility manager and just continues to grow in his relationship with God. His ability to manage people and build partnership is absolutely inspiring to me. And then, you get to meet Juanita, who is really an inspiration to me about how I would, live my life to the finish line and continue to love God and love others and really give back and continue to serve. She is organizing our community garden, and she's a safe parker as well. And she really brings people together and creates a sense of belonging at our Church at the Park site. And so thank you for inviting us to share what God is doing in our lives.
My name is Juanita Savoy-Nash. One time I was employed out at Maceira, and I had friends around here, so I'm staying here, visiting friends, spending the winter, spending the summer, I was spending the summer, and then I was going south for the winter. And Church in the Park came over there, and I had heard about this church. And I had pretty much given up on churches and strictness and long sermons to make you feel so guilty that you couldn't hardly breathe the next day. But when I went to a meeting over at the park, Church in the Park, I said, you know what? I just might be able to tolerate this church. Well, I came over and fell in love. Just fell in love with this church. But whenever I came over and experienced it myself, it was more than what was being told. It was deeper. It was truer. It was more Bible-oriented without the guilt trips. And that I like.
So go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit, connect, and how you're connected to here at Church at the Park.
I am Kelly, and I am one of the leaders here at the church. I am currently homeless, but not homeless. I have an apartment, but not in it. I'm a safe camper at our church, so I park in the parking lot. I'm here all the time, like all the time now. Several times in our weekly meetings that there is something that's telling me that this is where I'm supposed to be. For whatever reason, I'm supposed to be here. And I've tried to leave. I've tried to not put in as much time, and I can't do it. I need to be here for some reason unbeknownst to me. But this place has saved my life more than once. And even when I was waiting for housing, I asked the housing people, please, whatever you do not take me far away from the church. Right now, I, along with Dave, head up the food share. That's actually why Robert brought me in last year, was to take over for him. So I go twice a week. It used to be once a week, and then, me, I had to bump it up. So I go twice a week and to the Marion Hope food share and load up our trailer with as much as I can carry. And come back and make up food boxes for everybody twice a week.
Okay. My name is Dave Maceira. I've been a volunteer at Church at the Park for almost 4 years now. I started out just helping with food share, going, doing the shopping, bringing the groceries in, putting them up on the shelf. It was a weekly occurrence, and then little by little, I gradually started becoming involved with more and more organizations. I started noticing on Sundays the group of folks that are out here in Cascade Park, is where I first got associated with, would disappear on Sunday, and I didn't know where they were going. And they were really tight-lipped about it, and they weren't saying anything. So I would notice on Sunday mornings that they would all disappear. And then finally, one of the gentlemen, Robert, who got me involved with the church, told me that, they serve breakfast and they have food boxes over there once a week.
I want you to tell us a little bit of how you share and provide for others through the garden here at the Church at the Park.
We have a man by the name of Charlie who came here, and his wife was very sick, and they were living out of their car because they couldn't afford the rent. Well, the church stepped in right away and got her into a nursing home, got him into housing, an affordable apartment, with what the income that he had. And he was a lifetime worker. He worked on farms. So he decided that he would come out here and he would spend some of his time, because now he's lost, very lost, because he can't visit his wife since the virus has started. And she's too sick to come to a window and wave.
Yeah.
So what he does when he gets home, so when he gets bored, needs something to do, he comes out here. And Charlie and I run this garden. And we plant, and we dig, and we get dirty and sweaty, and we talk.
Yeah.
And I happen to have, because of my master gardener, information that he is a farmer did not necessarily get. When you just grow field after field of corn, you know, you don't know that much about tomatoes. So Charlie and I got to talking about tomatoes. And the growth of a tomato is that, you know, like you have a cluster of flowers that come, the one on top is always a male, and the ones underneath are always female. And so you get this male to release and to pollinate these females, and you have a nice cluster of tomatoes. Well, to Charlie, that was just more fun than he could even imagine.
Yeah.
And he has been able to have time-fulfilling, hard work that is meaningful, and therein lies the difference. Charlie and I became friends, and in all likelihood, Charlie and I are going to go over to the UU church this winter, and I'm going to mentor him through the Master Gardener program, and he's going to come out a Master Gardener at the end of the winter.
So you shared a little bit about the food share, and that's one way you provide for needs for others. Tell us a little bit about that.
I don't want anybody to be hungry. And my fiance and I, before we came here, we were hungry out in our car. And so now it's kind of like my little pet peeve or something. If somebody comes up to the church and they're hungry, I'm finding stuff for them to eat.
What's a story? Tell us a story of a time where you went to find something because you knew someone was hungry.
Somebody came new, we'd never seen before. Came to the door. The building was already closed down. I was just finishing cleaning up, and he said he was just got out here. He didn't have anything, and he said, "Can you please? Do you have anything to eat?" And he said, "I don't care what it is, a piece of bread, anything at all." And I said, "Let me find you something to eat." And I was pulling fruit out of the fridge, and we get pizzas delivered, and I'm like, "How many pizzas do you want? I'll give you as many as you want." And he sat in these chairs outside and just, he had himself a feast.
Wow.
Well, we now have people who come in and they want to help, they want to volunteer to, clean up anything, something to make them feel like they have given something for their meal, which, we love to have volunteers help. We love to involve everybody in what we're doing here.
So why don't you share a story where you were there for someone else?
There's been several people whose lives I've touched and blessed in the last few years, having been involved with the church, but one in particular kind of stood out to me. There was a gentleman who frequented the church quite often, and he was struggling with addictions and alcoholism and drug use. And our approach is relational. So we try to befriend these folks and get to know them a little bit before we dive in head first and start trying to solve their problems. So this particular gentleman was really struggling with me, and we sat outside the church. I think we shut the church down at 7. That was our closing time.
Yeah.
And he was sitting outside by himself, and we talked at great length. I think I was here till 11:30, and it was dark. It was during the summer, so it was really warm still. Yeah. And we talked at great length about some of the trials that he'd been facing. He was married and divorced. He did have a young lady that he was involved with, and they were having some issues. And although there was a great amount of love between the two of them, they just couldn't put things together and make things work. So I suggested a couple of programs and gave him some contact information, because we have these resource lists that have all kinds of great contact information, from housing to mental health and wellness, and programs that will help people get out of the rut that they're in. And that was that. I mean, probably a 4.5 hour long conversation. And then the last time I saw him, it was he just kind of revisited the church, in fact, a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen him for quite some time. I said, well, what happened? I mean, what's going on? He says, oh, things, you wouldn't believe how much things have changed.
Wow.
I've got a job now. I'm housed. My girlfriend and I are doing great together. We just, he basically said, I wouldn't have done it if it hadn't been for you and the information.
Wow.
The one thing that changed along the way was we have a set of values, church values, and one of the last values that was added to that list was to foster an environment of peace and love and do away with hate and anger. And that one statement, to me, is what changed the way things go on and the activities that happen at the church. Do we still get folks that are angry and pent up and have anger issues? Yes.
Yeah.
But all of the rest of our folks that come to the church on a regular basis have all accepted that we foster an environment of peace and love, and that we don't want to have anyone feel like they're excluded. We don't care what they did in the past. The past is the past.
Well, Juanita, why don't you share with us, how someone has shared, something to provide for one of your needs.
Right now, I have 2 women and a man that I personally have a relationship with, and I counsel and guide them. But the most important part of me having these 2 women and this man to talk to and share with and to sit down is that they are taking the place of my family to some degree. We have close relationships where I have a purpose, I have a reason, I have something to think about in my mind. What am I going to do to try to help this person? How do I get them past this hard time in their life? Especially living in a car, another one living in a tent. Every day I try to do something, whether people find out about it or not. Just do something super nice. Maybe taking somebody to the doctor's office and charge them nothing and don't get into their business. Oh, you don't owe me anything for gas. No, just tell me we'll be okay. Do you have got the money for your prescription? Sometimes I get prescriptions. That helps me. Does that help me? You bet it does. It gives me purpose. It gives me a reason to get up in the morning because I know something's going to happen today where I can pray and say, let's get to work on this, God. Let's just get busy and get this done because this person needs this and show me how. That's all I need to know most of the time is show me how. And once I understand that, it's really quite easy.
Well, that's great. So share a time when the church was there for you and provided a need you had.
The whole time I've been here, every single day, they have this church. I don't know what it is about this church, and I'm not the only one who said it. I've had people come to me and say, I don't know what it is, but I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. This is where I fit in. Ever since I've been here, I've gotten an apartment. I met Alexis, who worked with DJ, and her and I became really, really good friends. And through her, I found a car to buy that actually is a good car. It works. There's something about this place that I'm just drawn to it, and I need to be here. It's amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm just so thankful that I have gotten the opportunity, to be a part of this.
So go ahead, why don't you share one of those stories?
There was a series of circumstances, and I won't get into that because it's pretty lengthy as to how I ended up unhoused. I mean, I had a career and educated and just a series of events which could happen to anyone landed me unhoused. But I met a gentleman named Robert, who was the person who introduced me to the church, and it refocused me. I think one of the hardest things for people to go through when they end up on the street is the despair sets in. You start to turn inward and wonder what it is that you did wrong, when in reality, it wasn't something that you did wrong. It was just circumstances dictated that outcome. And so that event helped me to kind of gather myself together, because you kind of feel useless. You don't have anything to do or anywhere to invest your time. And so his introduction to my getting involved with the food share and helping out really changed my life.
Church, I am so thankful that you were able to hear and listen to those stories. And I want to send you out with this. But before I go, I want to encourage you. If you haven't connected with the church, or you're listening for the first time, would you connect with us? Would you send us, let us know that you watched, post a comment, like us on Facebook, or follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube. Any of those would work. We just want to get to know you and connect with you. And if this is your church home, we want to encourage you to continue to follow Jesus by giving to his mission, to love God, to love all people and make disciples. And you can do that through the local church. You can give online at salemfirst.com, through snail mail, 4455 Silverton Road, or through an automated bank giving through your local bank. But let me send you out with this. One of my favorite verses in Ephesians 2:10. For you were created as God's masterpiece. He has created you anew in Christ Jesus, so you can do things that he's planned long ago. So this week, today, may you be the hands and feet of Jesus, doing what you've been created to do for things that were planned long ago. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Go in peace.